Howdy YouTube viewers and gear gadget fanatics everywhere. Thank you for tuning in to the WatchBox review today. And in today's review we're going to take a close look at the Invicta Corduba Interceptor model number 0756. So that's the watch you're seeing on my 62mm wide wrist. It's a very wide flat case shaped profile. Okay, so let's turn the camera around and get started with the technical information. Okay, so first of all, the overall lug end to lug end length is 62 millimeters from here to here. Now the overall length of the assembly, however, extends out to 72 millimeters across because the rigid mounted polyurethane rubber strap has a very wide flare out to the sides. So you're looking at about 72 millimeters from here, from end to end. The lug width is a standard 26 millimeter wide lug width. The width including the crown is 63 millimeters across. The bezel diameter is a 53 millimeter diameter bezel, and the flame fusion crystal window opening on the front is 41 millimeters across. The crown diameter is a 9.5 millimeter diameter crown. The case thickness overall is 16 millimeters thick. Now the strap width flares out to these shoulders here to about 32 millimeters, and it has an aggressive taper down to 24 millimeters at the buckle. On the buckle end there is a single strap keeper. Okay, so let's take a close look here at the screw-in case back. The screw-in case back has the Invicta Corduba Infinity symbol in the middle and laser-etched model number and name designation around the perimeter. Okay, take a look at the control panel side. The crown is a screw-down crown. That screw-down crown together with the screw-in case back provide 20 ATMs of water case pressure resistance. Now the crown itself is protected by a big crown guard on the side. That is a non-opening type crown guard. It is simply a bridge piece that is held together with a pair of Allen screws into the case. Now, despite that, the crown is big enough and wide enough that it's very easy to grip onto and unscrew and make timing adjustments. And to further facilitate that, the entire bottom side of the crown is exposed. And it's elevated up off the wrist, so it does not dig into the back of your wrist. Okay, these two movement pushers here are simply movement advance pushers for the subdials. You simply push onto them to mechanically advance each subdial on the dial. If you're familiar with the Orient Mako XL date advance pusher, this is the same type of thing. They're not screw locking pushers despite what they look like. Okay, let's take a look at the business end of the watch. The unidirectional rotating dive bezel is a 120 click design, and it has a very firm, strong feeling click as it is rotated. It is very tight assembly overall. There's no rattle or loose parts on that dive bezel. The dive bezel has a very nicely done coin edge around the perimeter that's very easy to grip and hold on to. The stainless steel bezel insert is black ionic plated, and it has a triangular graphic to indicate the 00 position, as well as steel graphic to indicate the first quarter hour around that dial. There is no glow-in-the-dark 00 pip at the 00. Okay, we're taking a look now deeper into the dial through the flame fusion crystal window opening on the front. What you're looking at is a bi-level die-cut sandwich dial. The black texturized plastic on the top dial you're seeing is die-cut with 12369 and hour indicators around the perimeter, and the sublayer dial underneath is white glow-in-the-dark tryptite luminescent paint. So together they combine and give the watch a sense of depth as you kind of look down into the dial. So this is one of the few Invictas that have a sandwich type of dial. It's popularized, of course, by Panerai. They're the ones that first did this, and everyone basically is a homage to that, including like Marina Militaire. Android has a few watches as well with a sandwich dial. But it really brings out the sense of depth into the dial as you kind of look down into it and see the multi-layers there. Okay, so obviously it is not a chronograph complication. This is a Swiss ISA caliber 9232 movement, quartz Swiss origin, 1930. Okay, so anyhow, that top 12 o'clock subdial is the calendar month of the year, and you can simply manually advance it like I'm doing here with the pusher. The 6 o'clock subdial is the GMT scale. Now I'm not sure if my movement is defective or not, but my calendar month of the year does not auto advance at the end of the 31st day. So I'm not sure if my movement is perhaps defective or not, but I'm not going to really return it for that, although I probably should, but I'm not going to, simply because I like to push the button and manually advance the month kind of myself. And B, there really aren't enough 31-day months during the year to really like annoy me or whatever. So anyhow, so that's pretty much it. The hands of the watch are semi-gloss black, and they're also dressed in trittonite luminescent paint that glow in the dark as well. Okay, so let's dim the lights and show you guys the lume. Okay, so I'm charging up the lume using my 90 lumen flashlight that you see here. I'm not sure if you can tell right away, but one of my peeves with this watch is they did a really poor job cleaning the backside of the crystal when they were casing up the movement, and you can probably see that here on some of the reflections from my flashlight. So that's probably my first peeve, real dislike about the watch. Secondly is really the lume. The lume basically stinks on this watch. I know I didn't do a very uniform good job charging it, but you get the idea. But the lume basically stinks on this watch, even by Invicta standards. My pro divers under $100 totally blow it away. My Russian diver completely blows it away. So my camera still picks up a good deal of glow-in-the-dark lume there. So it is kind of clear and it is distinct so long as it remains charged. The problem is just fades. It fades so fast, which is a real disappointment for me, because I have, like I said earlier, Asia origin pro divers that glow very well, glow very brightly. And this watch here, they totally missed the boat. They could have put just a thick layer of glow-in-the-dark lume on that subdial there to really illuminate. Okay, now that being said, my camera has a very difficult time picking up the faint lume here. So in reality, what I'm seeing is a very, decently glowing lume, but my camera can't quite pick it up. So anyhow, that's probably my second complaint about the watch. Anyhow, so let's go turn the lights back on. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the strap. The most distinctive feature really about this plain Jane strap really is the stainless steel perforated mesh molded inserts on both sides. So it looks nice and gives it a lot of style points, and it basically jazzes up what is a plain vanilla looking strap, but it also makes it incredibly rigid and very impractical for any practical use. So if your wrist is like smaller than my 62mm wide wrist, you're not going to there's no forgiving flexibility at all in this strap assembly. So I'll probably replace the strap at some point with like a NATO or maybe a Zulu 26mm. Now if I were to do that, I'd have to figure out a way to put it on, simply because there are 4 spring bars total holding on both straps. So I might have to bail out on one of these spring bars to thread the Zulu or the NATO through there. But I might do that, I don't know, maybe in the summer when things warm up a little bit temperature-wise. So let's see. I guess if I had to state my likes about the watch, I really like the case size overall. It's a large watch. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything here. It's a big watch. If you don't have a big wide wrist, it's going to flop around and be very uncomfortable. But it's kind of along the lines of like a PAM 341 or a 60mm Marina Militaire Homage, that same type of case size. So it's kind of a nice thing in that regard. It's got a very nice mix of like dive homage, military homage intermixed. The case style and the screw down crown is really like a dive watch, but yet the dial itself is straight up military homage with that font and the die cut accents on that bi-level sandwich dial there. So I think, what did I pay for this? I bought this watch for $120 at worldofwatches.com, and if it matches your style and you like the style of it, there's not too many other watches around that really look like this. So it's pretty distinctive and it's pretty unique in that sense. So it's a good activewear watch. It's only 16mm tall, and it's only about 170 grams. So it's significantly lighter than my Sawako Noma 3 and my Russian diver. Significantly lighter than my Android Transocean. So at 180, what did I say? 180 grams. I mean, I've got pro divers Invicta Pro divers much smaller, that are about 170 grams. So this watch here, it sits low profile on the wrist, and it's very lightweight. You can swing your arm around and not feel like this massive chunk of metal pulling your arm. So anyhow, want to take the time to thank you guys here, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks a lot, man. Bye-bye.